All right, I'm Cameron. I'm the co-founder of XYDO, and today I am super excited to have Michael Stelzner here with me, founder and CEO of Social Media Examiner, the world's largest social magazine, with the aim of helping businesses better understand how to use all of the major social media channels. They're ranked as a top 10 business blog by Technorati and Ad Age. They've got 500,000 monthly visitors and 170,000 email subscribers. So Michael, thank you for joining us today. Anything else you want to add to that?
I think you did a great job, Cameron. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I had four questions I wanted to ask you about today, mostly about Social Media Examiner and kind of
Sure.
your role not only as the founder, but also a content producer. So just to kind of kick things off, maybe if you could kind of give our listeners a little bit of a background of the genesis of Social Media Examiner and who was your target audience and how did you get it off the ground?
Yeah, our target audience is marketers. So we were always trying to reach that person that's a marketer, which may include the business owner, because most business owners will raise their hand if you ask them if they're a marketer. But it also includes the marketer working for any size corporation. And one of the things I noticed when I started Social Media Examiner back in October of '09 was that there were a lot of people blogging about social media marketing, but there were very few people giving detailed information. So I decided to differentiate our site by calling it an online magazine instead of a blog, and by going long form content. And to how we got it off the ground, it was an interesting strategy because I didn't really have a lot of knowledge about social media marketing. So I recruited people that I call fire starters, and they include people like Mari Smith, Denise Wakeman, Chris Garrett, Jason Falls, and probably missing one or two of them. But these people already had a raving fan base. In the case of Mari Smith, it was about Facebook. In the case of Chris Garrett and Denise, it was about blogging. And in the case of Jason Falls, it was social media general, if you will. And I asked each of them, would they be willing to be part of a movement? Just simply write one article a month. And I produced, let's see, I don't know, 4 articles a month. So in the beginning, we were just publishing a couple times a week. But then when we began to see, oh my gosh, this stuff is really popular, we began to increase it. Now we're publishing 6 days a week.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, knowing a little bit about that backstory, I think it was obviously a very interesting and successful approach to kind of involve a lot of the experts and thought leaders as opposed to just kind of setting out there on your own. I remember in the video that you've got on your site, you kind of described the somewhat lack of enthusiasm of your friends when you originally told them the concept of, oh, another social media news blog.
Yeah. And it wasn't even a news blog. It was just another blog on social media. I mean, think about the industry you're in, whoever's watching this right now, there's probably tens, hundreds, or thousands, or even tens of thousands of bloggers writing about the topic that you're an expert in. But does it mean that someone can't come along and be successful because they do it better and to a higher standard? Well, I believe that I proved that to be true. And I still believe it presents a lot of great opportunities for just about any business.
Yeah, it's an awesome story. So now that you guys have been around a few years, what is really your approach to content? I mean, what do you think makes for great content, especially to keep people coming back week on week?
Well, bottom line is that it's got to be not about your company and not about whatever it is that you're trying to sell. It has to really be about what people that are the ideal audience you're trying to reach are most interested in. In our case, we're trying to reach social media marketers. So we have to understand what they want to learn about. So we conduct a survey every year called the Social Media Marketing Industry Survey.
Hmm.
And we ask them questions like, what's the biggest challenge you have with social media marketing? What are the tools you want to learn more about? And we use that data to not just put together an editorial calendar, but also to put together a free report, which is yet another form of content. So the side message there is you can gather data and make content out of it, but at the same time use that data to help plan your calendar. And to the crux of your question of what makes people keep coming back day in and day out, I think there's a couple different kinds of content. Number one is the how-to stuff. Everybody writes opinion pieces, but frankly, nobody cares about opinions. They care about what they're most interested in, which is learning how to do stuff better. So the how-to articles are very successful. We tend to showcase success stories that inspire people to try new things. Other things might be news wrap-ups. Well, instead of going to Mashable, which publishes 26 times a day, we do a Saturday wrap-up. of the critical news in our industry, and people love it, and they just don't read the other ones anymore. They just come to us. Expert interviews is another thing, like what you're doing with me. When we started Social Media Examiner, Cameron, I went out with a video camera to trade shows, and I just interviewed all the experts and asked the hard questions and tapped their mind and shared that great expertise with our audience. That's the kind of stuff that brings people back on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great insight. So in terms of your audience, what have been kind of the key tools and tactics that you've used? So you've obviously succeeded in producing this really high value content that people are interested in consuming, but how are you retaining that audience and engaging them kind of from a tactical tools standpoint?
Um, well, there's a couple things that we do. First of all, to bring in a new audience, to grow the audience, which is one of our constant goals, we have social share integrated into every piece of our content. And what that means is that when someone comes to a blog post and they love it, we give them the opportunity to, with one click of a button, to share it on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, every major social network you can imagine, because we know that people want to share stuff that their peers are interested in, and it makes them look better. But the end result is we've got all these evangelists that are evangelizing our content, bringing more traffic into our website. So the trick is not just to bring traffic in, but to retain it. So the way we retain it is we try to get people onto our email newsletter. And we use all sorts of mechanisms all over our site. If you visit, you'll see on the sidebar at the bottom of the articles, in the navigation, where we encourage people to sign up so they won't miss our future free content, because once they get a taste of what we have and they realize it's truly valuable, they're going to want more. So we incentivize them with a free tutorial on Facebook, and it's very successful. And then what we do is we drip feed them every day. When a new article is out, we send a simple email that just contains a little 70-word blurb of the day's article and a click here to read more. And that's the way we kind of keep that audience constantly feeding at our trough.
And so, I mean, would you say that is email kind of your most powerful push mechanism for, drawing people back to the site?
Email is not just ours, it's the most powerful in the world, period. I don't care what people tell you. Everybody I know would rather have 100,000 people on their email list versus 100,000 Facebook fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
bottom line is it is the most valuable asset, bar none, that you can have beyond the content itself, because you own it. It's in your possession. You can do what you want with it. You can send out a broadcast when you have something to sell. There's so many possibilities with it. It is the holy grail that ties everything together. So I'd say, yeah, it's essential.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let me ask you that kind of one follow-on question to that. A question we get
Sure.
a lot from the companies that use our service is, email's obviously been around for a long time. I think for no good reason, it kind of has this reputation of being unsexy, something that's used for more of a kind of a digital direct marketing tactics. For you, what is the connection between email, owning those email addresses, being able to push content out to those folks, and your social channels, your Facebook page, and some of the activities that you're doing over there?
Well, I mean, bottom line is different people want to receive content in different ways, and you have to acknowledge that as a publisher, which we are, and you are. If you're a content creator, you're a publisher. So you've got some people that are going to want to get notifications on Twitter. You've got others that are going to want to subscribe to your Facebook page, and we have 100,000 fans on our Facebook page, and I don't know, about 80,000 across 2 Twitter accounts. And then you've got some people that love to get it in their inbox because they want to actively learn, but sometimes those people don't want to be. So all these channels together and then you've got the blog and the RSS. You got all these different channels, but the connection really is allowing your reader base to choose where they want to follow you. And once they've decided, they've given you permission to send them stuff. What's great about email that's different than Twitter, for example, is that you know that email is going to get delivered to that person's inbox. Where with Twitter, you don't know if anyone's going to even see the tweet, because you don't know if they're going to be online at the moment and how many other people they're following and where it falls in the grand scheme of things. On Facebook's acknowledged only 16% of your fans are going to see it in the newsfeed, which is the way everyone sees anything. So bottom line is email delivery rates are very high, And the likelihood of people seeing that message is significantly higher on email. And we still are programmed as human beings to read through our emails. It comes in our box in chronological order, and if it's from a trusted, reliable source, we are going to look at it. And in our case, we have about a 25% daily open rate, which is pretty dang good for the
Yeah.
size of our list and the frequency at which we broadcast. But the key to everything is really having spectacular content. So I think it all kind of intertwines. I don't know if I got lost and went down
No,
a rabbit trail or
no.
if
I mean,
that's the answer.
I
Yeah.
think that makes good sense. I think, oftentimes everyone kind of wants everything to be connected to each other, and our experience has been similar in the sense that these are just channels that you need to be engaging in, that people are going to use to consume the content the way they want to, but they all kind of have their own different traits and benefits.
Yeah. And one other thing to say, on Facebook, we have 100,000 fans, but we really don't know who any of them are.
Yeah.
And Facebook wants to keep it that way. And the same thing on Twitter. We might be able to figure out who they are, not very easily. But with email, we know exactly who they are. So really, from a business perspective, you want to own your own domain. And the best way to do that, frankly, is through that email distribution channel. And I think it's the holy grail. And everyone that I know believes it is as well. So I think it's critical, and definitely do not ignore it.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate your thoughts on that. So just finally, and kind of looking forward, both just generally speaking for businesses, obviously your readers, folks that come to your site looking for information on social media marketing and so forth, and then also for Social Media Examiner, how do you see the role of content in marketing as changing in the future?
I believe that we are beginning to see a renaissance with a form of content that's been around since mid 2000s called podcasting. And I'm going to explain why. Facebook, for example, is trying their best to get their mobile platform to work because they know that more than half of their users are checking Facebook on their mobile device that sits in their pocket all day. There's a connection here. Now that we have more than 300 million people walking around with iPhones and iPads alone, and there's probably another 100 or 200 million with Android devices, we probably got 500 million people in the world or more walking around with smartphones in their pocket. What does that mean? That means that these people have these devices with them when they're walking, when they're at the gym, when they're in the car. And podcasting, also known as on-demand talk radio, provides an incredible opportunity now, in the same way Pandora Radio does, for people to get on-demand content, educational content when they want. And I believe audio is such a big thing right now because a couple of reasons. Number one, you can multitask when you listen to stuff, and you cannot when you read, and you cannot when you watch a video. So I believe that podcasting is beginning a new renaissance, and we're seeing a lot of people jumping onto podcasting. We're talking not just average Joes like me and others, but we're seeing a lot of movie stars jumping onto it, like Alec Baldwin has his own podcast. And you're seeing all these people get into this. It's a very intimate, long-form medium. And we've only had our podcast, the Social Media Marketing Podcast, out for a couple months. And we've already got 15,000 people that are listening every week for a half an hour to me interview experts. And I'll tell you what, it's a rapid way to build new fans. And I believe that the future is audio. And that may seem completely strange, but I think I've made a strong case because of this mobile capability with the smartphones. And I think you're going to see more and more people listening to all sorts of conceivable radio shows, and it's an incredible opportunity for marketers.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Well, thank you for spending time with us today, Michael. Before we wrap up, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, we have a really cool event coming up called Social Media Marketing World in San Diego, California. And all the people that you follow online that are the social media experts are going to be there. It's going to be at the San Diego Marriott Marquis Killer Conference. If you want to check out more about it, go to socialmediaworld13.com, and maybe we'll get a chance to meet in person.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right. Thanks, Michael.
Hey, thank you.